If you are new to the channel, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. We are continuing on with a short series that I started last week where we are answering the question, does this work in Laravel? Pick a number. If you didn't see that video, I highly suggest you go and take a look as it will bring you up to speed with where we are now. Last time we got up to the point where we have our Laravel application pretty much working, but when we installed Jetstream, it changed up some of our pages so we can't actually see the welcome page from Laravel. Let's go ahead and take care of that. For our setup that we have, where we have inertia with Jetstream, so we're going to have a view front end, our app.blade.php is really the root of where our pages are. In the app.blade.php, as you can see, we have some fonts, we have our routes, we have the Vite set up, our inertia head, our inertia. This is where our inertia is being pulled in from. So what I want to do first is go over to our CSS page. Since the new versions of Laravel are no longer using the Google fonts, they're using fonts.bunny.net. Now, because we are using Bootstrap for this project, we have an app.scss file, and in here we can just change it. This will just be bunny.net, and we can get rid of that. The page that we were using before was the app.blade.php from the old project, but what we can do is we can go to the web routes. And that's actually also removed our routes, but we still have the old project to work from. All I'm going to do right now is create a controller so that we can put this information into it and display our inertia page. Since we're just displaying the page, I'll make it an invocable controller. Now we can grab this. We can go to that welcome controller. And for now, I'm just going to paste this here and import inertia, import the route. The application. And for now, that should be good. Let's go ahead and add the controller in the web routes. We can get rid of all of this. Welcome controller, class, and then we'll just name it welcome. Now let's take a look at the browser and see if we can now see the new Laravel welcome page. Okay, so now we have the new Laravel page, but as you can see, there's no styling for it because that page is actually built with Tailwind CSS, and we deleted all our Tailwind stuff in the previous episode. So now what I want to do is I don't actually want this page. I want to have the old Laravel welcome page. That was very simple, very basic. So let's go ahead and handle that and bring that old page back. Well, what we can do is we can go to the old changes to the file that I made before it was deleted, and we can just grab it and change it accordingly. For now, I'm just going to comment this part of it out. Go ahead, paste that in. And for now, I'm just going to comment these out because these are coming from Laravel, from the Laravel Blade templating language, and that's not going to work with Vue. So let's just see if we can get it to look somewhat what it's supposed to look like. You take a look, it's very simple, and it's not actually pulling in our styles. But let's open up the inspect and see this is Tailwind. Let's see if any of our Bootstrap classes are coming through. These are from the debug bar, and it doesn't look like anything is actually coming through. Now, the reason for that is some of these styles are actually pretty custom. In the app.blade.php, it typically has these styles sitting in some sort of style tags for that instead of actually using it from the CSS package. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to remove these since these are Tailwind classes and we're not using that. And then I'm going to go back to the old welcome class page that was removed when we upgraded. And I'm going to copy these and I'm going to make some classes. I'm going to make a class to house all of these in that welcome page. We can go ahead, paste it in here. All the way up here. And instead of for the whole HTML and body, I'm just going to create a class called welcome. And then I'm just going to attach that welcome to this div right here. Let's go and see if that's changed anything in that welcome view. Hey, well, look at that. This is pretty much what the classic Laravel used to look like, except the font was much thinner and it's just kind of a classic look. We'll go ahead and change that now. Now, because the font that we are using is Railway, we don't actually have that yet. We'll go ahead to the app.scss, we'll go ahead, paste it in here, and now we should have that Railway font. It is nice and sleek, and this is really what Laravel used to look like. When I started using Laravel, this is what it looked like. And I actually kind of like it. It's nice and sleek without a bunch of stuff like it is now, but that's just my personal preference. Let me know down below, which one do you prefer, the new one or the old, better one? So now that we finished that one, well, now we can go ahead and close these, and we don't actually need this home.blade.php anymore, so we can delete it. And before I forget, let's also add those register and login links that we removed from up here. We can actually use some Bootstrap classes, and we'll do top right, links, and then we can do vif and login, and we can use our link from inertia, vif page props auth user, and we can do an href to route dashboard. Here we can use just dashboard. And again, back in the day, that home page used to be what this new dashboard is. Then we can have a VLs. We'll make two links, one for login, one for register. And here we can put vif and register. And that should take care of these links down here. Let's go and see if we have those links. Now we have them up here, and that has the Tailwind look as well. Now we don't really need this Laravel version here in the welcome controller. We don't need that here either, so we'll leave it at that. But what I want to do is I want to also refactor our registration and login pages. We can also get rid of this. Now what I want to do is I want to close these out and I want to refactor our auth pages. So we'll go down to the auth folder here. Let's just open them up. And start from the register page. Now all we really want to do is we just want to change these to Bootstrap classes instead of Tailwind classes, as well as all of the components that we use from it. What I'm going to do is I am going to go ahead, convert all of these to Bootstrap classes, and then I am going to come back. We're going to take a look at it and just try to register through our page and make sure that it all works. Right, so I have changed up all of the authentication pages, register, login, all of these, as well as the corresponding components that we use for the forms, authentication card logo, authentication card, etc., etc., etc. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. Hey, look at that. So now we have a Bootstrap themed register page, and our login page is also Bootstrap themed, as well as the other pages. At the end of this short series, I'll push all the code up to GitHub and you guys will have access to take a much closer look. But for now, this is really just to demonstrate the possibility of making a Laravel 5 project work with any version of Laravel. So let's go ahead back to the register page. Let's go ahead and try to register a user. And it looks like we have our first error where app is not app/user. Now, if we take a look, it looks like it's trying to redirect and get us to our dashboard, and verified does not exist, right? So let's go and see. I'm just going to go ahead and close out these pages for right now, and I want to take a look at the app providers. Let's try the app service provider. Looks like we changed everything in here already. Let's check our route service provider and just make sure that that's good. Let's check the auth config. Okay, if we go down, you can see the provider, the user model. This should be models. Let's go and see if this changed anything. Okay, it's looking for home, which shouldn't be the case. Let's check the route service provider dashboard, the auth service provider. Right, so something somewhere is redirecting us to that home page, and typically that might be in the HTTP middleware redirect if authenticated. As you can see, this one is redirecting to home, so we can actually redo this entire thing as well. If we go to our test project, we can go to the app HTTP middleware redirect if authenticated and just copy this. Because now what this is going to do is use the root service provider's home key. Let's try to log out and register again. Okay, we'll fix that in a minute, but what I just want to do is log out. So a really quick way to log out, or a viable way of logging out, is just to go to application and then go to cookies and then just delete the cookies. Let's go to the register page. Try to create a new user, register, and again, we're back to this target class verified does not exist, which is fine. So clearly it has something to do with our middleware and not quite getting redirected and things like that. So what's happening is that there are a bunch of old middlewares in here. So you have check for maintenance and script, and the new handle inertia one that we did when we installed Jetstream. But some of these have also changed a little bit. I want to go ahead and bring in the new versions of these, and then we'll try to register again and see if we still get that error. So let's start with the check for maintenance mode. In the old one, we don't actually have that one anymore. We have an authenticate one, which we can go ahead and create. So here I'll just make it like this. Yes, you can use the create PHP artisan, create middleware, but here we are. Then we have the encrypt cookies. It should pretty much be the same. Just a little notation change. We have the handle inertia requests, which we have in this one already too. But there's also a prevent request during maintenance. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. Just going to do it like that first because I've already forgotten the name. Grab this. Redirect if we're authenticated. We've already done that one. There's a trim strings. Okay, it looks like we just have the addition of a new user attribute. Trust hosts. We don't have that one, so we'll do this. Trust proxies, we've done this one already. We did that in the previous episode. Validate signature. Verify CSRF token, which this probably hasn't changed much either. Let's see what is going on in this kernel and see what we can change. So let's go ahead, grab this. And now we can get rid of all of these. We can just paste in everything. because there are some new middleware names, including verified, which that was what that was saying, is that we don't have a verified key. That doesn't exist. See, target class verified does not exist. So now that we've updated all that, let's go ahead, refresh. And as you can see, it's taken us back to the dashboard page like intended. So why don't we go ahead, log out, just to make sure that all of this really works. And again, we are at the dashboard. Great. Let's go ahead, close all of these up, and we will work on our dashboard page now. So I'm just going to make another controller. It'll also be invocable, and we'll just call it dashboard controller. Basically, we can now get rid of this one. We can get rid of this authentication. We'll go ahead to the dashboard controller, and then we'll return. And we're not returning any information to that view, but let's go ahead. Resources, JS, pages, dashboard. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead, paste this in. We have our Bootstrap classes. I'll go to the layout. We'll do this one too. As you can see, Bootstrap classes in here. And I will also pause the video, and then I'll go ahead and add classes to all of our components and everything that we're using for this dashboard page. I've done all the components as well as the dashboard and the app layout, and that should be good. What is this error here? Oh. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the browser. Great. Now we have the new dashboard, and it's got Bootstrap instead of Tailwind classes. I want to set up migrations so that we can work on the resources and get some tasks in our database. Let's go ahead and close these. And let's go ahead and first let's open up the users table. As you can see, when we installed Jetstream and stuff, it changed that as well. Is that two-factor? And let's take a look at the task table. Now we can actually go ahead and grab this new class and use that here. Of course, it doesn't matter if you change it or not. It's the same thing, but this makes the migrations more dynamic, and that's what Laravel has changed to. So here we need to do void. That's remain the same, and we can remove this now so that we have the type here. And that should be good. Check out the next one, which is task results. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here. And this migration, I actually also want to just change the name to results because we can deal with the relationship a little bit differently. But for now, I want to change it out of task results and leave it at that. Instead of this increments, we can just change this to ID because this is how Laravel is doing it now. And instead of unsigned big integer or unsigned integer, we can do foreign ID. And we can do constrained, cascade on delete. The timestamp for ran at can stay the same. Everything else can pretty much just stay the same. This will change the results. And then in the tasks, I also want to change this to ID. Personal access tokens and sessions, those were all new. What did I do here? Forgot the semicolon. And I can do the void too. It doesn't really matter all that much, but if we're going to modernize it, then let's modernize it. Also, before we get into the factories and stuff, let's do the models. And this one was changed with our installation of Jetstream. User, and close this one. Take a look at the tasks, and we have some functions in here. We're going to be adjusting some of them. And for now, the only thing I want to do is add a has factory here. And then I want to adjust the results. It will work this way, but I want to add some things to it. This will just be results, result, and then we don't need the foreign and the local keys. Let's work on the result one now. And we can actually remove the table since we're going to be just using results. Laravel will pick up the naming convention that this model is for that table. So we can get the has factory because we do have a factory. So let's continue on with the databases. And let's make sure that our user factory is up to date. And it looks like it is. That was with the installation again. Let's make a result factory and a task factory. This way we'll be able to see some of that information in our database. And here I have just created a Boolean variable, and we are going to be looping through true and false, so it'll be randomly selecting it for the isActive field in the database. There is a description and a command, which I just put in sentences. I've also added a cron expression. We have a don't overlap, which I've set to false, as well as the run and maintenance, and the notification email. We're just using a fake email for that. The result factory, I will be doing the same thing where we have a results variable. We're going to loop between completed and incomplete, and then we're going to assign it to this result as in a random array. So it'll just pick the random one, either completed or incomplete. And then we have a task ID that we're getting from the task model. And we have a ranat that we're just using the timestamp of now. The duration is a number between 1 and 59. In the database seeder, there's really nothing here just yet. But also, as you can see, we're not using any namespace in here, and that's how they did it back then. But I'm just going to go ahead and paste this information into our seeder where we're using the database seeder's namespace. Without model events, we're using the seeder class, and we are going to be grabbing the task factory. We're going to make 10, and then we're going to attach results to them, and then we'll create. Let's try to remigrate this database and see how that goes. Okay, great. We have an error. Target class database seeder does not exist. And that is actually true. This folder is seeders because this project itself, this is how seeders were named. So we can go ahead and change this to seeders. Let's try to run that migration again. Now we have a different one talking about our observer must be of type app tasks. So let's go and check that. Our observers are in the app observers task observer folder. All right, this is one that we didn't change. Let's try it again. Look at that, we have remigrated and we have seeded the database. And if we take a look at the database and we open up the tasks table, you can see we have some in there with a description, a cron expression, command is active, all that good stuff, as well as in the results table, We have a task ID, it was run at, we have a timestamp for that, as well as duration result that's done for us. We don't have any users, and that's fine. All this other stuff isn't fine. That's just what we wanted, was to have tasks as well as results seeded into this database. If you're enjoying the content, please go ahead and click that like button, as it really does help out the channel. Here's a video YouTube thinks you'll like, and here's a playlist to follow along. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.